and welcome to today's video. We are back for part 2 of the most extreme declutter ever office edition. So we got through a lot the last day. We still have a lot more to get through. So some of you may have noticed, my keen-eyed friends, I have the Rexel. This is the shredder I got. It's a Rexel Optimum Auto Feed Plus 50X. So we're going to be using this. I've already started doing stuff because, as I mentioned in the last video, I'm not going to film all the shredding because that's going to get incredibly boring. But also, it's a crosscut, so I have all this and there's all like little bits of paper. The last one, which is the old shredder which we have, I will have to empty that first, is this one over here that just does like strips of paper. It's a very old one and it takes up so much room in the bin. Another thing I got was these Hero, I'm going to say WebTech. They're heavy duty bin bags, garbage bags, trash bags, whatever you call them. I picked these up, they're 114 litres. Just to put the shredder into the shredding paper so I don't have to keep coming in and out all the time. Just wanted to fill you in on that quickly. I'm going to keep going today. We have an absolute pile of stuff to shred over here, so I'm probably going to be running that in the background. I'm after cutting myself off, so I started with very limited room in here. I'm going to be continuing to shred through all that stuff while I'm going through everything here, so the shredder can just be running. It is automatic on top. It'll do 50 sheets at a time. And I know a few people ask me, you're going to have to count them out every time. No, it actually, what I've realised is it has actually a line inside it, which tells you max amount of paper here, which probably obviously allows for the different weights of paper. So we're going to be doing that. Anyway, I'm not going to waffle on too much longer. I just want to say welcome to the channel if you are new. I'm really glad to have you here, and welcome back if you've been here before. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I'm going to get down underneath this desk. I have a load of stuff to pull out. We're going to get through a lot today. I'm on my own today, so it's probably going to take me longer and I might not get through as much. But anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So one thing I want to talk about in today's video is about time management. I want to talk a little bit about paper decluttering as well, and I want to talk about setting realistic goals and expectations for decluttering. So one thing that I came across throughout kind of doing especially this part of the series is the sheer volume of paper that we had. Like, I knew we had a lot, but I didn't fully realise or understand the full capacity of it. And like the full kind of volume of it. Like, I knew we had bits in the files, and I knew we had bits in the filing cabinets, and I knew there was bits in the drawers and that kind of thing, and the original 2 boxes. But one thing I have realised as well is, I know I had mentioned in the last part of the video that, you know, stuff wasn't getting thrown out and that kind of thing, but I really have started to realise, you know, based on what I'm getting rid of now, that I actually think a lot of it was thrown out, and I was wrong on that one. Like, I think an enormous amount of it was thrown out over the years. And kind of sorted through and gone through, and, you know, there's certain categories where we've paper and stuff like that going back to 2003, bills and stuff like that, and, you know, that kind of thing. And obviously, as I mentioned previously, certs and all that kind of thing. But one thing I kind of misrepresented was the amount of time it was going to take. So you see this bag here, this blue bag I mentioned last week, that's actually all of my stuff from work previously that needed to be shredded. So I may have mentioned to you guys before, but I used to work on the TV show Vikings. I was a set medic, so I actually had like a load of kind of stuff from that, you know, different paperwork and whatever. Not patient information or anything like that, I didn't store any of that, but just stuff from, like, you know, days on work and stuff like that, and notes, and, you know, so that's what was in there, stuff I never got around to shredding. And honestly, I think I brought that bag down and it got shoved in that box years ago, and I honestly didn't know what was in it, and I don't think my dad knew what was in it. There's a little card I made for my mom like 30 years ago. But yeah, going through this was a massive job, guys. I have got to say one thing though, straight off the bat. The new shredder I got, it is unbelievable the amount of difference it has made. So if you guys remember, I mentioned previously about the little shredder behind. The little shredder behind just does strips, essentially. shreds it down into strips, which isn't very, secure or whatever. Now, it was fine previously. It was our own personal stuff. You would have some job putting it back together. But the thing we used to do as well was I would take the strips in the box and I would split them all up and I would split them into different bags, and I wasn't making it easy for anyone to put it back together. But this one here is the crisscross cutter. And shredder. I don't know, I keep calling it everything but a shredder. But you can see me here just patting it down. Now, one thing I found about this shredder is it gives you a warning light on top to say, the drawer is full. And what I found with it is, I think it might be the type of paper we're using as well, that a lot of it just gathers in the middle. So you'll see me kind of pressing that down throughout the kind of video. And as I'm actually sitting here, it might look like that shredder, isn't doing much, but that thing is working constantly. And it's shredded, it did that whole drawer. I think I had to stop maybe once or twice. Now you'll see the pile of paper at the back. This is not a Rex L problem. This is a me problem, shoving the paper back away from where the blade comes down, because I'm assuming that's where the sensor is. And obviously it went over the back of the drawer because I didn't want to bother my bum emptying it. So if anyone's thinking, oh, well, I don't want to be dealing with that, you don't have to. Just follow the instructions in the machine and don't be lazy like me. But no, I have to say, being able to put in the 50 sheets and, you can see me here kind of adjusting. There is a marker on the side inside that tray that to show you where it goes. But really investing in this was a huge game changer for me. As I mentioned before, it took me 9 hours to do, half a box or whatever. I would say the amount I've shredded today in total I spent, because obviously I've done this, obviously what I filmed, and then I actually did another hour or so after that, the day I did this. But I would say I probably spent the equivalent of maybe 3 hours, maybe 2 to 3 hours. And I'm not joking, you guys, I literally got an unbelievable amount of stuff shredded. I really, really did an unbelievable amount. And I'm really happy with that. Now, I'm also really glad that I bought these extra large bin bags. What I'm dealing with here is a jam. Now, jams happen in shredders, everybody knows that. One thing I will have to say is, and I think I may mention this later on, I can't remember if I do or not, so I'll mention it now, there we go. If you'll see when that focuses, that is 99 to 2000. That is an accurate representation of what was in the drawer. You'll see me going through these drawers. It just keeps going 99 to 2000, 2001, 2001, 2002, so on and so forth. You'll see a little couple of jams happen. Now, we use a carbon paper, so it's the main copy and the second copy. I can't remember the name of the paper. It's carbon copy paper. Do you know what I mean? If somebody wants to drop the name of it down below if I'm saying it wrong, I think it's carbon copy paper. I can't remember. But anyway, you'll see a couple of jams here. Any jams that I got in this machine throughout the whole process of literally shredding hundreds, if not thousands of documents, was this paper. You'll see the pink stuff there. There's blue ones later on. There's a bit of white paper as well. This is the stuff, if anything was jammed, it was this kind of duplicate paper. And that is probably more to do with the fact that that paper is so thin. And it's, much lighter than standard paper. It's really, really light. So I think what was happening is the machine was catching a couple of pages at a time. Because that seems to be what happened. There'd be 3 of them in it. And it was just a little bit too much. And also what I tried to do, because those sheets are, I think they're A5, which is half an A4. I was trying to stack the 2 of them. I think that might be it where I do it there. I stack them front and back. And yeah, you see them there. I stacked half of the front and half of the back. And unfortunately what happened was it grabbed a few of them and pulled them in, but it grabbed them from the other side and then it jammed because there was too many pages going through. So the machine can take 6 at once. So there's a slit in the top that lets you feed that in. But anyway, this is not an advertisement for a Rexel shredder. I just want to let you guys know. If you're thinking of getting one, I really recommend it. It's really good. I really like it. But yeah. Anyway, what I was saying was, I wildly underestimated the volume of paper. I said at the start, there's going to be so much paper, guys. You're not even going to understand how much paper there is. There was so much paper. Guys, I can't I cannot explain to you how much paper there was. That's the manual for the typewriter, which I'm quite confident we do not need. But there was like lots of little things like that, like, you know, the manual for the typewriter that no one uses. There was all this, that and the other, you know, here and there. There's a picture of me coming up now as a little bambino. There I am. I'm so cute. But what you call her? I just kind of wanted to cover about realistic expectations and setting time for yourself. So you'll see the stack of paper here. There's like two and a half piles, we'll say. This eventually will turn into 3 piles. There is so much paper, guys. Going through this filing cabinet that is in front of me now, I thought I'd find a couple of pages because I thought we'd gone through this. It in fact turns out we had not gone through it. We never went through it. So the bottom drawer you'll see there too, in the middle of the screen down the bottom, we actually went through that about a year to 18 months ago. So a lot of the stuff in that was up to date. But this other filing cabinet I thought we had also gone through. So it turns out I was grossly incorrect. Like extremely, very much so incorrect. You'll see me there literally showing you the side of the folder to show you like the sheer volume of paper that was in it. And then what I took out, and I must say, going through this filing cabinet for me I found really satisfying, because I think I got rid of probably 80% out of every folder. You know, some of them were like, you know, 50%, 60%. But I think overall in this whole filing cabinet, I think I literally got rid of 70 to 80%, which I'm really happy with. And it was just like, that's the thing as well. Excuse me. What I mentioned before, like if the stuff is not in the way, it's much easier to leave there. You know, that kind of way. And it's much easier to just go, oh, it's fine, it's not in anybody's way, which it isn't, and that's fine. But as I mentioned last week, this is a job that I wanted to do. I don't want this to become a problem for me in 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years. You know what I mean? Because realistically, if you leave this pile, you files from 2003, 2004, whatever, chances are in 10 or 15 years, those 2003, 2004 files are still going to be there. So now not only do you have to fill, that's me dropping the paper, and it went everywhere. And of course, that was one of the biggest files we had. You're going to see me swapping out the paper as well as I go through and, you know, individually kind of shredding any weird pieces or anything that got jammed. You can just see that there popped. I put too much in. But anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, so basically, sorry guys, I'm quite tired. But we were going to rally, guys. We're going to rally. But going through this kind of thing, like if you leave, as I was mentioning, if you leave that stuff there, the 2003, it's going to be there. And rather than you having, say, 800 to 1,000 pages to go through now, in 10, 15 years time, you could have, you know, 800 to 1,000 on top of another additional 800 to 1,000. And then all of a sudden you're dealing with, you know, under 1,000 pages. Up to now you're dealing with nearly, you know what I mean, 2 to 3 to 4,000. Obviously depending on volume, etc. How many things, and if you add, you know, children, pets, etc. into the mix. So for me it was really important to get this, because I don't want this to become a massive problem for me in the future. Now there is some files and pages that you'll see me taking out and putting to the side, because I genuinely did not know what to do with them. Now, if they were my files, I would just be like, they're old, they're not relevant, they won't be asked for or needed again. But as I've mentioned before, most of these files are not mine. Actually, none of the files you're going to see in today's video are mine. So, because of that, actually, no, that's a total lie. Some of them are from my car. But because of that, I had to wait to make decisions. So when I was filming this, as I think I mentioned it before, I can't remember, my dad's away. Was away for a couple of days. So I texted him about some of the stuff, and he was like, I'm not really sure what that is, and you know, or I would like to go through it. So, you know, and I said that to him, you know, I'm going to film when you're not here, and he was like, oh, that's fine, you know, you can do it. Okay, oh, he didn't say that was fine, but I'm being more kind and generous. It was more along the lines of if you must, but just calling him out. But yeah, basically, I just kind of set them to the side. So you will, if you see me putting page to the side, you'll see also the page there, kind of towards the bottom of the screen under that box. They are to do with family members who are deceased, and it's kind of like old memorabilia, kind of sentimental stuff. There's not many pages there. It would all fit into one file very easily, so I've set that aside because I have absolutely no idea what to do with that. And they're my dad's kind of like immediate family and stuff like that. I am so sorry for my phone in the background. I thought it was on silent. It is now. My apologies. But yeah, so stuff like that, you know, there is unfortunately a situation in which you literally have to say, I don't know what to do with that, and step to the side and be realistic in your expectations that if you are helping somebody else, if you are doing a whole house clean, you're gonna come across stuff. Now, in some ways it's a little bit frustrating. And now you'll see here, guys, there's a bill from May 1999. Had to share that one with you. I wish that was the oldest document that I found. It really wasn't. But like when you're dealing with other people's stuff and when you're dealing with a house-wide kind of clearance, especially with paper clutter, everybody creates paper clutter and everybody creates lots of paper clutter. But things to be mindful of, as frustrating as it can be, especially if you just want to get the job done and get the job finished, there is a very likely chance you are going to come across stuff that you have absolutely no idea what to do with if it doesn't belong to you. Now, I went into this very confidently when I started going, it's so easy, I'll do this, I'll do that. You know, I kind of thought I knew everything that was out here, and you know, there was certain categories I was a bit, you know, wishy-washy, not sure about, but for the majority, I thought I knew what was out here. I actually came across a lot of stuff I didn't know was out here. But we got through a huge amount. And I did set a time range for myself. I kind of went a little bit over my time range. So you'll notice the footage is a lot faster today. Because I filmed for a lot longer than I normally would. But I also didn't want you guys to be sitting there looking at me putting paper in, sorting paper, putting paper, taking paper out, putting paper, etc. You get it. I'm not going to go into immense detail about what I'm doing. But I just wanted to let you guys see a realistic view of what's happening and keep you up to date. Okay guys, so as you can see, we have an enormous new pile of stuff to shred. So there's one pile in there, I took out one of these and it was quite full. It's actually the dog's file. So we got the dog in 2018, the end of July 2018. So I'm going to keep everything for that because that's kind of the day I'm going from, is around 2018. So there's no point me touching that because everything in it is 2018, 2019 on. But yeah, so I'm going to let that shredder run and I'll check back in with you guys. Sorry with the dog in the background. So as I had mentioned earlier on about having realistic expectations and that kind of thing and setting realistic goals, doing a job like this, you know, it can be very monotonous. I'm going to be very honest about that. Now, I love decluttering. I enjoy going through stuff like this. I enjoy getting stuff organised because for me it creates a really nice structure, which my brain loves. My brain loves structure. You wouldn't know if you saw me on a day-to-day basis, but it in fact does. I love things being organised and having a place and, you know, that kind of thing. But I will say going through this was mentally challenging. None of it was like particularly hard. There was nothing particularly difficult about what I was doing. You know, but I will say, here's Mr. Baby. He wanted to pop in and say hello. My friend was just over there with me, so I just handed her the dog. Let me tell you, he was having the time of his life with all the attention he was getting. But anyway, I going through all this. Now, I did really appreciate that she came over, and it's kind of more enjoyable when you've, you know, a podcast to listen to or someone to talk to or, you know, whatever. And I would recommend that. And it's something like I did speak to her, but there's also large parts of this video as well where I was doing it by myself. So I kind of wish that I had brought, like, you know, my iPad out so I could watch a video or listen to a podcast or an audiobook or something like that. So I would say if you're doing something like that, you know, have something else to entertain you to make it go a little bit, you know, smoother and kind of easier. But one thing I will say is I, as I think I've mentioned already, but I'm going to mention again, I underestimated how long this would take. I underestimated the volume of paper and, you know, stuff that had to go and to be decluttered and to be organised and all that kind of stuff. But it was immense. there was an enormous amount of paper. Now, one thing I'm glad about is I'm glad it's all going out of the house. I'm glad it's all getting shredded properly and it's been taken care of properly. You will notice here that the shredder's not running at the moment, or it's just starting to run. I can't remember which. There was a couple of times I came back into the office after like taking a break or whatever, and I forgot to put fresh paper in, or there was a particular section of paper that I wanted to cut next, and you can, that kind of thing. You can see there that file I just did, like I literally got rid of so much. And this right here, you'll see me with this pink paper. I'm just cutting some bits that caught there, putting them in on top. That's the manual slot. You can do 6 pages at once in through that, but you'll just see me doing the little stack here. And like I think I have a much better idea now of roughly how many sheets it can take. There is a marker in it, which is good. But like the machine, like literally it won't close. Like, so it's quite, the door is quite stiff. Originally I thought I was breaking the door by opening it, but I've discovered it's quite, because it's brand new. It hasn't been opened many times. It got easier as I used it, but it's quite definitive where the paper stops. Like there's clips on the front, and I put in too much paper once and I pressed it down. Like I didn't press it very hard or anything. I just pressed it, and the next thing, within a couple of seconds, it popped open. So I knew it was like too much. But I kind of like that aspect of it as well. Now, obviously, I'm going to try my very, very best not to overfill it, because I don't want to damage it. But it's a really, really great machine. I can't say it enough. Like, if you guys had seen me doing the original shredding versus this, you would understand why I am like absolutely hyping this shredder. But again, I'm so sorry for anyone who was looking for a description or a link in the description. I forgot to add it last week. I will add it to this video. I will also pop it in the link for last week's video. And if you're watching the video now and you haven't seen the link, you feel free to tell me to just like, I need a link for the shredder, and I will give it to you straight away. I'll put it in the description straight away. I was having a couple of issues, as I mentioned to you guys, with my YouTube studio. I think it's from one of the extensions I have, because I've been having terrible problems with one of the extensions, but thankfully I've contacted them and they are working on it at the moment. But anyway, so back on track of what we were saying. I would say if you're doing a job like this, number one, buy a big box of extra strong garbage, trash, bin bags, whatever you want to call them. Set an area for yourself that's comfortable. That's a really important bit. You see this chair I'm sitting in, the red chair? It's not comfortable at all. It's a horrible chair. I sat in it for hours. I deeply regret this choice. If you have access to a nice comfy chair, I'd recommend it. Or if you want to bring, or if it's possible to do it in a room that has a television or is just more comfortable than where I am at, I would highly recommend it. These jobs are hard. Going through this kind of job is hard. It's mentally taxing. It is very, very time consuming. So my opinion with these things is, if you can do something to make it a little bit easier for yourself, I absolutely ask you, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? To me, there's no benefit or anything like that to suffering. You know what I mean? Like there's no point in suffering through this stuff and making it more difficult than it needs to be. This here, by the way, is some paperwork I'm going through that I mentioned earlier that needs to be gone through by my dad. I've absolutely no idea what to do with any of it. So, yeah, I'll quickly whip through that now, you'll see, and I'll be moving back onto the other stuff very soon. But it's very mentally taxing, and it's like, there's no bonus points, there's no gold star for suffering and struggling through it. So I would say, guys, if you've something that makes you more comfortable, you go ahead and you do it. Whether that be a cushion or anything else. So, moving along anyway. This job is time consuming. It is mentally taxing, as I've already mentioned. But one thing I will say is, it is worthwhile. It is definitely worthwhile. Another recommendation I would give is, if you're doing something like this, get a system in place before you start. So I have like a section of paper that I referred to myself as weird shaped paper, or strange shaped paper, because like obviously you have your standard printer paper, A4 letter size, whatever size you use, and these shredders are generally designed for A4, legal size, whatever, office size stuff. But some of the stuff I had were like A5 and
you know, I tried to put them in to maximize the amount of shredding, and then, you know, I caused paper jam. Again, not a Rexel problem, that was a me problem. And I had to turn them, like, you know, vertically, if that makes sense, so they would catch, the machine would catch them properly and all that kind of thing. But like, there was weird, like, really long skinny pages and all that kind of thing. And then I was using the individual shredder. Now, the individual shredder can take 6 pages at a time, but when you have strange shaped paper, like I have all stubs from like checkbooks and lodgement slips and, you know, all that kind of like tickety things, and, you know, when you're getting into that stuff, you can't really put that into the automatic feeder section, because now, honestly, I didn't try with a lot of the smaller stuff, but maybe it would have worked, but I genuinely don't think it would have picked it up. But like stuff like that, I would say set a section. For me, the way I did it was I did a big bulk of all the paper shredding. So you'll see there's like pink paper and blue paper. So what I decided was I wanted to get rid of all the carbon paper that we had, or 99% of it first, because that was the stuff that was causing the snags early on. So I wanted to, you know, deal with the snags first while I was still fresh. It was still early. You know, the kind of way I hadn't got overtly frustrated with the job. But like, because I'll be honest, guys, I really enjoy and love decluttering, but like, I do get frustrated doing stuff like this, because you can see the absolute volume of paper I'm going through. It was intense. It was a lot. But anyway, I decided to go through all that paper, all the kind of really thin carbon paper and anything like that kind of thing. If I found receipts or anything that were old, they could go in the individual shredder. Another thing to remember as well is if there's no personal information on the stuff, you don't need to shred it. I almost shredded a big pile of paper that was like, you know, kind of advertisement terms and conditions stuff, and I was like, there's no personal information on that. Why am I going to the effort of shredding this? But yeah, like literally going through it all was a lot, but I did that, and then I kind of started working on the main A4 stuff. You can see me there massively reducing the bundles. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this drawer on the right, it was actually done a year ago, so there was very little in anything. There's one or two of them I think might have had a couple of bits. I know in one of the folders I went through again, because we had car stuff and we no longer have the cars, so it didn't really make sense to keep the stuff for them. But yeah, so going through this, I kind of waited. I did some of the what I refer to as weird shaped paper, because I wanted to get it out of the way. These A4, you'll see me starting with these. I really just wanted to get these done, because I knew they were going to be time consuming, because there was like a lot of them. That's the stuff that's come from that drawer unit underneath the stereo there. You'll see it there in the middle of the screen. See the silver stereo on top of it. That whole drawer unit was emptied and is to be shredded. I think the top like 4 or 5, I think out of 8 drawers was just paper. So they've all since been shredded. But like stuff like that, I kind of didn't think about stuff like that, like the different shapes and different textures, but it is definitely something you want to consider. And as I always say, before you start any job like this, set out a clear plan and it will go much smoother. Okay guys, so that is the end of today's video. We have gotten through a mountain of paperwork. So some of you may have noticed while I was doing the stuff that this drawer here, I kind of skimmed. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned earlier on, I think in this series, or I may have mentioned it live, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll explain anyway. So about 12 months ago, I want to say, maybe a year, maybe a little over, I came out here and found my file, my own file, was going through, and then we went through a lot of stuff. And as I mentioned, I couldn't remember how much we'd actually gone through. So it was actually this whole drawer nearly that we went through. So a lot of the stuff that's on the table here or whatever is extras that we went, like, just for a year's worth of paperwork or whatever. But as I was going through the stuff, I kept pulling up the back page and maybe a couple of pages in that drawer, and pretty much everything in it was 2018, 2019, that kind of stuff, the more recent stuff. There was 1 or 2 2017s. And I just popped them out, but everything here needs to be shredded. This unit just here off camera, the drawer unit, that's now completely empty. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 drawers in it were full of paperwork. Oh my goodness, sorry, that bag is so full. That is a 114 litre bag, and it's packed, and I still have this drawer here to empty. But in this, actually, do you know what? I'll quickly do it now. In here we have CD pockets.
You know, for like the folders. Declutter, never going to use them. Oh yeah, I have these little pouches here. They were used for, my dad used them. So, there's 4 in here. So what I'm actually going to do is, with 4 of those bags, they'd be actually great for like cosmetics and stuff. I'm going to donate them, 4 of them in here. Their donation. Random luggage strap. Like, I'll see if that can be to go with if we have the bag for that. Or could we have like one of those, you know, like officey style briefcase bags. Now we have why do we have square envelopes? I'm utterly confused. Anyway, we have envelopes here. Standard business things, guys, envelopes. I'm gonna put these to the side for now. I'm sure my dad will use these over time. He still, like, obviously has to do, you know, bills and other related things, and we have a bunch of cards. We have some coloured paper here. Oh, we have some carbon paper. Okay, well, we're never going to use these. Realistically, I don't think we have the notebooks for these anymore. I'll see if he wants them for anything. These may also be carbon. I'm not sure. You know, like the carbon transfer paper. I'm going to put them to the side anyway. And in case anyone was wondering why I'm taking these out, because there's literally 3, I think it's 3 drawers? Yeah. There's literally 3 drawers left in this that are empty. So, like, it's literally 1/3 of the unit. What I'm going to assume happened here was we ordered envelopes and they sent the wrong size and sent out the new ones and told us to keep these, or the wrong size was ordered or something. They were really good offer, I don't know. Anyway, we're never going to well, we will use them eventually. I don't know if we're ever going to use the square ones. If not, of course, as always, I will recycle them. We've envelopes for gigantic cards here. Not gigantic, but large cards. I'm also going to let go of them. Okay, so that's it. That entire unit now is empty. Guys, you don't even understand what you can do. Anyone who's ever done a lot of shredding, the amount of dust that paper shredding creates is crazy. But I have to say this, there's been very little dust. There has been dust because I can feel it in my throat and in my chest. I am a bit dry. But compared to the one behind it there at the back, that one there, every time you emptied, there was so much dust. It was insane. Whereas this one is like a few little bits at the bottom. I don't know what Rexel did to reduce the dust and have a filter or something. I couldn't tell you, but it's fantastic. I'll quickly mention this again. It is the Rexel Optimum Auto Feeder Plus 50X. It has automatic 50 sheets and then up to 6 at a time manual. Manual just goes in there. Now you can't, so when you're feeding in here, it goes straight down through the shredder. If you put them in here, you put your sheets in there, whatever, and it goes basically, and you literally just walk off and let it run. Okay, I'm just gonna, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to start that. As if you guys heard that, that's how loud it goes. Like, it's really not loud. I thought because it's automatic, it'll be super loud. The fan is going off at the moment. I'm hoping that will stop in a second. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. But as you can see, I have a lot of paperwork still to go through. This pile here is just what I've gotten rid of today. Just today. All of this here is shredding for today. I also got rid of this today. Oh my goodness, I don't even know if you guys can see how big this bag is. This is 114 litres. This is going to be full by the time I empty that drawer. That is heavy. I also got rid of the blue box you guys saw at the start. This large box and the stuff in it is all gone as well. So for today, I'm really, really happy. For anyone who's interested, the 2 boxes, I'll show you them really quickly. I don't give anyone motion sickness. They are still on the floor. I haven't even touched them yet. I haven't even gotten to them. In case somebody thought I was just sitting here pulling paper out there, shredding them. I haven't even touched them yet. But I got an enormous amount done today. Now I did mention, I think in last week's video, that there was a lot more paper here around this area, and I wasn't exaggerating. I knew this had loads of paper in it, this unit here. the filing cabinet here I went through. The earliest thing I found in here was 1995, I believe. No, I tell you a lie. 1995 was the oldest group of stuff I found. But I found one single thing that was from 1982, I believe. I don't know. And it wasn't like a certificate or anything. I think it was just a page that got stuck to it, you know, in a file years ago and just got trapped. But anyway, it's in the pile here now. Everything here has to be shredded. Okay, that's gone off there. I'm gonna continue on shredding this off camera. Because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch an hour-long video of me shredding paper. I know some of you guys said you'd like see shredding, you find it relaxing. I know some of you said you'd like it's like watching paint dry. Absolutely fair, both opinions. Just gonna pop this out. This thing, by the way, drawer is massive. I really like it. At the very start, you may have seen me pulling the paper at the back. That is not a Rexel problem. That is me trying to ram stuff in so I don't have to empty the drawer problem. But as you can see, like, it really does fill up right to the top. Like, there's that much space at the top, which is really good. Because I know a lot of these, they get like halfway and they're just like not working at all. Anyway, I'm probably going to continue shredding for a while. Which, as I said, I might film some of, and I'll put more maybe in the next video. Yeah, let me know down below if you want to see more shredding in the next video. I know there was a lot in this video. But as I've always said, guys, I try to be honest in this channel. I try and be realistic. You know, I could cut a lot of stuff of me sorting and going through all the stuff together. But honestly, that's not real. That's not realistic. I hope that the voiceover it made it a bit more entertaining and interesting. But we still have a lot to get through. All of this has to be done. I'm not saying I'll do it all tonight, but I'm definitely want to get all these coloured sheets done. The reasons all these are taking so long is what I initially tried to do was stack them 2 piles in this machine because it's an A4 sized machine. But what kept happening was this is really thin paper. It's like not transfer paper. It's like carbon, you know, carbon copy paper kind of. It's really thin. But what kept happening was it was pulling 5 and 6 sheets into the machine. It jammed it twice. So I just said no. I'm going to just stop doing that. Just turn it long ways and just do it 2 steps at a time. Obviously all of this paper will be recycled and disposed of correctly and securely and everything, which is fine. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you want to join the community, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video. We will be back next week with the next part of the Office Most Extreme Declutter series, back for part 3. I'm sorry I wasn't very energetic and enthusiastic today. I just knew I had a lot to get through. It's also incredibly hot here as well. Me and the heat do not blend too well together. But yeah. And now the dog's doing something very strange outside and making a lot of noise. So I better go check on that. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a fantastic weekend and a wonderful week ahead. And I will talk to y'all soon. Okay, love y'all. Bye.